So the question was, a lot of loan officers forget to ask about assets. And the reason why they forget is because it's a kind of a difficult, sensitive question to ask, right? So I think that's a very important question that you need to really ask, because that is one of the pain points that is part of our service. Our service at the end of the day is we're licensed to sell money. That's it, right? We're licensed to sell services and solutions and remedies to financial pain. And so I like to do what's called funnel questions. And so funnel questions are basically, it starts off at the top with a very kind of unthreatening type message or type question, but then it allows you to bridge to different questions to funnel down and get really what you're trying to find out. So if I was trying to find out average in checking and savings, because that's an asset question, right? Like, people can have $500,000 in 401k. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to pull out their 401k. People could have 30 grand in checking in like stocks and bonds. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to liquidate it. The reason why they have that money is usually for tax benefits, as well as building the nest egg for the kids' college tuition. So really what we need to talk about are things that they see daily. And what they see daily is their checking and savings account. And so the question is, well, how can I get my checking and savings? To answer your question, that's very important. That's one of the key things that you need to get on every single phone call, because it gives you the temperature of their fear. And one of the most powerful emotions on making someone act with urgency or captivating their attention and keeping their emotional state geared towards you is understanding what they fear. So a bridge question would first start off sound like this. Hey Jim, so besides the mortgage, what other debt do you have? Let's start off with credit card debt. And what do you think the average response is? 30 grand. So 30 grand, okay, cool. And then how much in monthly payments do you send just the 30 grand in credit card debt? 800. And do you know if that 800 is the minimum or above and beyond? Barely making it. Now, do you guys see how much leverage I have there? It tells me how many things. Number one is that he barely has enough money to make the minimum payment. Number two is that if he makes the minimum payment, he's going to have that debt for a very long time. Number three is that there are other expenses under the radar I don't even know about. So just out of curiosity, for the next 2 years, I understand that. What is the total monthly payment that you send? 800?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. And so did you do the formula to make sure that's going to be paid off in the next 2 years?
No.
Okay. So just curious, besides the 800, I'm sure you have other expenses like daycare, hobbies, or utilities and different maintenance. But my question to you is, in this industry, we have what's called a net. And the net, you understand what the first net is. The net is your gross income minus your taxes, your contributions or whatever, and then you have your net. Well, I need to know what your net is. So your net is your net income, net out all of your expenses, your childcare, your utilities, your car payment, your hobbies, your dining out on the weekend. Basically, how much of your net income do you have left to put inside checking and savings?
Not much, but again, as I mentioned, I really don't care about that.
No, absolutely, and I'm gonna let you handle it. But just curious, what's your net? Couple hundred, okay. And so if you're adding only a couple $100s into your current checking and savings, how much do you average in your checking and savings? Couple grand? Okay. So do you see how I was able to funnel into a very sensitive question of how much is in their checking and savings? But I know that he has 30 grand in credit card debt. He's trying to play the system, right? So he's always looking for a good deal. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play to his demeanor. So I'm like, you're actually playing it smart. I salute you for working the system, because you're not paying any interest on this debt. But just out of curiosity, $800 over 2 years, that's only going to pay off, I do the math real quick, right? 800 times 24 months. It's only going to pay off this much. And then what happens is all of that built up interest comes back at you if you didn't pay off the balance. Then it just puts you in a position where you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. So just out of curiosity, if you only got $2,000 in credit card debt, what's your plan B? Like, if you had an emergency expense, or if you had to fix the water heater, what would you do? Lean back on the credit card debt?
Yeah.
So before I go any further, let me just ask a few basic questions to make sure I can help you first. Now I'm taking it away. Okay, cool. So outside of credit card debt, I'm sure you probably have maybe installment loans, car loans, etc., and all that. My main focus is, can I help you get into a position where you don't have the stress and the weight of 30 grand in credit card debt that you have to pay off in 24 months? And then you move on to the conversation. My explanation or my example to you is just how to get to the root question of checking and savings. So make sure that you're asking that. Assets in itself is not, in my opinion, besides paperwork, in case they have rental properties or their DTI is above a certain level, then you need assets. But really what I'm trying to find out is what's gonna make these people move. And one thing that I know what makes them move is the fear. There's a fear factor. So I'm building up fear, I'm planting seeds of fear.
Connected to Sales Remastered.